Hi, everyone. This is my day to listen to the poll winner of the week. And this time, you have chosen for me U2's With or Without You. And I'm curious to see what it is about this song. Of course, I've never heard it before. I don't know anything about the song. I do know a bit about U2 since I have listened to several. There was All I Want Is You. There was Miss Sarajevo with Pavarotti. That was a bit different and memorable. And then I guess there was Numb as well. So I'm adding another one, thanks to you, to my U2 repertoire list. And let's dive in and see what I find.
In your side, I'll wait for you.
Ooh, that thin little line way up there. It's almost like glass harmonica.
On a bed of nails, she makes me wait, and I wait without you, with or without you.
This is one of those pieces where I feel like from the beginning, it started off almost very ordinarily. Just the beat and the arpeggio, yada da 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 da. But as the various instrumental sounds were added, and I think a lot of it is synth, but I'm going to use some other terms to distinguish different types of tones that I'm hearing. There was I said almost the glass harmonica, really high-pitched piccolo range. And then, of course, we have everything down to the bass, which is quite low. The thing that I notice about this setting is that we have a wide range pitch-wise. Everything is kind of in the mellow, not super soft tones. I don't hear any brass, warm French horn type brass. So we're not going really deep into the super soft, warm sonic world. But everything that I hear is a little bit what I would call rounded. Nothing is very pointy or edgy or sharp in its sonic quality. And so there's a sort of natural quality to it. When I say natural, I'm thinking natural world, like out in nature. Forest, grassland, wetland, that sort of very natural world sound. Think raindrops and leaves and bird sounds. All of that. It's not a really harsh, hard sonic environment. So we wouldn't put it in the extremes of climate, like extreme cold or extreme heat. We also wouldn't put it in. It doesn't really set itself as a really industrial setting, or I'm going to say city setting with a lot of concrete and harsh noises. It's not that. That's why I say it's very natural in its sonic texture, feel, shape. Furthermore, it's very light. There isn't a lot of instrumentation filling up the space. And so if I were going to put this in in sort of visual terms, as I sometimes like to do, we have a bit of a 3D feeling, the feeling that we can crawl inside the music and feel around. We can reach up to those high-pitched notes. We can reach down kind of under the floor to get to the bass. We can reach around the room to the different sounds. And in that room is the voice. And the voice fills up a lot of the space, or at least is the focal point of the entire room setting. And as I've said before, I really enjoy music that makes me feel like I can crawl inside and climb around in it and explore it in that sort of multi-dimensional way. And in spite of the fact that this one is very lightly accompanied, it's primarily voice, at least so far, primarily voice with just some light accompaniment. But the accompaniment is spread across this wide pitch range and has a clear textural scheme, as I said, a natural texture scheme. And because of that, even though it's very light, sparse, minimal in its density, there is the feeling of kind of stepping into a room where there's a lot of room to move around, not heavily furnished, but still there is something of interest to explore in every corner.
With or without you.
You hear the warm bass down there?
With or without you. Through the storm,
Way to call it strings up there.
You gave it all, but I want more. And I'm waiting for you.
And his voice is right in the middle.
With or without you.
Now it's almost as if we have streams of light coming in the window in the room.
I can't live.
Okay, his voice has changed,
With or without you.
moved to a different tonal world and range.
And you give yourself away. And you give yourself away. And you give. And you give. And you give yourself away.
A little bit of harmonizing there, just a hint.
The body bruise she got me with nothing to win and nothing left to lose. And you give yourself away. And you give yourself away. And you give. And you give. And you give yourself away. With or without you. With or without you. I can't live. With or without you.
There's something about this music, the way this is set, which makes me start thinking of the lyrics in broader, grander terms than perhaps I would expect. If I read through the lyrics, through the storm we reach the shore, you give it all, but I want more, and I'm waiting for you. Okay, fair start. With or without you. I can't live with or without you. Okay, that kind of gives a little bit of conflict, darkens the story a bit. And you give yourself away, repeated multiple times. My hands are tied, my body bruised. She got me with nothing to win and nothing left to lose. And you give yourself away, with or without you. I can't live with or without you. It's the sort of text which I might expect to be set in a really desperate or dark or really hopeless manner. And instead, what I'm hearing in this music is something that has in it a sort of warmth in spite of all of that. And it's building and it's building and it's building up nicely. The percussive elements, the instrumental elements, the rhythmic elements, the as I said, the density of instrumentation it's building, it's growing more and more. And he is shaping it beautifully with his voice as well. Started out nice and warm and mellow, and then takes us up into the higher octave, gets a bit more dramatic. All of this is happening. And it's really, if I don't pay attention to the lyrics at all, it's really an enjoyable musical journey. It is. And so then I look at these lyrics and I think, okay, what is the music saying about the lyrics? Or is it simply some lyrics set to a piece of music which makes us feel really great? So that mix of things, as I said, this sort of natural feel in the music part. And now, as it's building, I hear it. I'm going to say there's this sort of epic quality to it. There's this feeling of grandness beyond our small world, our small lives. There's this feeling of this spans millennia, or at least centuries. It's the kind of music, well, with a few tweaks, you might find this sort of music for some kind of historical drama movie or something like that. Or there's a sort of patriotic element to it, I might say. This is the kind of music which, if you set it to some patriotic lyrics, you have something really, really inspiring and makes makes everyone stand up proud to be part of whatever nation is singing to this kind of music. And so all of that, the lyrics, the music, it has me kind of unsettled in my mind yet exactly how what the music is saying, but it is saying something, and it is shaping the lyrics. Are we looking at something that is perhaps a veiled, it's set in the context of a person, a love, an individual, but it is perhaps a bit more patriotic, nationalistic? That's an interesting perspective on these lyrics, isn't it? And to think of the singer as or the voice as some citizen of some nation, some country, and this is what they're singing about their nation. It's an interesting perspective that is kind of playing around the edges of my mind as that could be interesting. Or is it something, perhaps some Shakespearean love story, or is some unrequited love, or something like that? What is it going on here? And there's a lot of room for interpretation, even though, as I said, you take the lyrics on their own and you can kind of come up with a very simple, basic, narrow interpretation quickly. They give it to us. But I think that it gives room for a lot more too, especially with the music. Let's back up just a little bit before all of this music starts to build and build.
Give yourself away with or without you.
You're getting stronger. His voice is not desperate. It's not desperate. It's not frantic. It's more epic, grand declaration. Calling out to the universe. Listen to the drums. The way the bass is just pulsing along.
With or without
harmonization. Like it's calling across time. I like the fact that that's his voice and not some synth sound. Building up again, building. But it's still warm, isn't it? Yes. Okay. If we keep it as narrow as we want, as possible, sticking with the text, yes, we can interpret it as a sort of song to one's object of affections, one's love, where perhaps there's some mismatch in the relationship, we might say, where what you're getting is not what you would like to get. We can. But as I said, the music makes me think that it has to be taken in, we have to look at it more broadly. We have to think in grander terms, which makes me say, as I hear this song, I either have to hear it as some attempt to express the depth and breadth of one's love. Not necessarily saying there's a problem in the relationship or a mismatch. It's more of a poetic way of expressing how intense and deep this love is for the other. I can't live with you. I can't live without you. And I think that could be justified putting a lot of weight on, through the storm, we reach the shore. You give it all, but I want more, and I'm waiting for you. If we really put the weight and attention there and shift all the lyrics to circle around those lines, it works that way. And it's a nice way of taking it. But I still am teased by this idea of, what if we take this song in a more patriotic vein? What if we take this as the voice of one singing to their country? I find that fascinating. Sleight of hand and twist of fate. On a bed of nails she makes me wait, and I wait without you. What is this? The way that this could... Is this a very patriotic person who's suffering for their country, or who is suffering at the hands of their country? There are interesting ways of taking this, and I think the music invites us to look at those possibilities. That's really how I feel about it. So another really interesting, fascinating, and rewarding piece of music from U2. And I thank you all who voted for this. And now, since this is where it's taking me, I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on how you experience the song, how you feel it. Do you feel it as more of a conflict and mismatch in relationship goals? Or do you feel it as a grand expression of eternal love? Or do you feel it as, can you feel it as what's playing around in my mind, this idea of patriotic song to one's country? I'm really curious, and I'd love to hear from all of you. So I'll be watching the comments closely, and I look forward to hearing all your thoughts and opinions on it. Thank you again. I'll see you soon.